If you ask business leaders how they are doing, 80% will tell you they deliver excellent customer service. But if you ask their actual customers, only 8% of them agree. That is a massive, expensive disconnect. For decades, companies defined quality entirely on their own terms. If a product rolled off the assembly line and worked exactly as its engineers intended, it was stamped as perfect. Today, quality is an entirely subjective feeling defined by the end user's expectations. This diagram is the Tableau model. It visualizes this dynamic by representing a company's rigid offer as a square and the customer's organic, shifting needs as a circle. Customer satisfaction represents the literal, mathematical area where these two distinct shapes overlap. The ultimate goal of a business is to maximize that shared space, a monumental operational challenge that requires an enterprise-wide system called Total Quality Management, or TQM. TQM is an integrative philosophy of management focused on continuously improving the quality of products and processes. Before an organization can expand that overlapping space, it has to figure out how to accurately measure subjective human emotions. They do this by tracking specific key performance indicators. The first is the Customer Satisfaction Score, or CSAT. CSAT is a direct, quantifiable gauge of how a client feels immediately following an interaction or purchase. Next is the Customer Effort Score, or CES. CES measures the friction of an experience, how difficult it was for the user to get their problem solved. Tracking this proves that pure convenience is a massive driver of brand loyalty. Then there is the Net Promoter Score, or NPS. NPS measures the likelihood of a customer recommending a product to a friend or colleague. Teams also use a metric called ServQual. This tool explicitly measures the delta between the level of service a customer expected walking in and the level of service they actually received. These metrics form the essential translation layer, converting subjective consumer feelings into hard data maps that engineers can read and act on. Once that KPI data floods in, raw numbers aren't enough. The organization needs diagnostic tools to give that information a recognizable shape. This animated graph is a histogram. It is a foundational visual tool that builds vertical bars to represent the frequency of an issue, instantly exposing variations and patterns hiding within massive volumes of customer data. By reading these variations, decision-makers can pinpoint exactly where the company's offer is failing. They can isolate a sudden drop in satisfaction to a specific age demographic or a single malfunctioning product feature. But histograms are reactive. To move on the offensive, organizations deploy Failure Mode Effects Analysis, or FMEA. FMEA is a step-by-step approach used to identify all possible failures in a design, a manufacturing process, or a product or service. It operates like a predictive radar. By breaking a process down into individual steps, teams can anticipate weak spots and calculate the exact probability of a defect occurring before the customer ever experiences it. Histograms show you exactly where the gap between the company and the customer currently exists. FMEA is the defensive shield used to prevent that gap from widening in the first place. Spotting the gap is entirely useless unless the organization has a mechanical framework to physically alter the business and force those shapes back into alignment. To fix an existing failing process, they use the Six Sigma DMAIC framework. DMAIC stands for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control, a data-driven quality strategy used to improve processes. This diagram illustrates how DMAIC systematically strips down a flawed process and rebuilds it. Through a series of measured, surgical shifts, the framework physically drags the company's square back over the customer's circle. When the gap is so vast that the existing process can't be salvaged, teams deploy DMAV. That stands for Define, Measure, Analyze, Design, and Verify, and it is used to engineer a completely new product or system from scratch. Ultimately, DMAIC and DMAV serve as the mechanical drivers that align a company's output with the customer's reality. Total Quality Management embeds customer satisfaction into the blueprint of every department at the earliest stages of planning. Under this philosophy, the definition of a customer expands. It includes internal departments serving other internal departments, making the delivery of quality everyone's job, from the assembly line to the payroll office. It demands the entire organization move from being product-focused to entirely customer-obsessed. This constant vigilance is required because consumer expectations are never static. they constantly evolve, meaning the customer circle is always moving. These systems provide the permanent architecture for continuous adaptation, ensuring the offer and the customer's needs remain overlapped through every market shift.